Hello, and welcome to Holistic Connections, conversations with holistic practitioners. And today we have Emma with us. So, if you could share with us, Emma, what you do in the holistic healing world.
Oh, thanks so much, Pamela. So I teach shamanic witchcraft, sex
Amazing.
magic, and earth medicine. And I work really with the energies of the earth. I work with crystals,
Mm,
with herbs, and living more aligned really with the natural rhythms and kind of the wheel of the year.
so amazing. So amazing. So, do you work with people one-on-one or do you work in groups? And is it just all online or in person?
Yeah, so a little bit of everything really. I have one-to-one clients. I do shamanic healing one-to-one, online, also in person. I run different group workshops and courses online and have clients all over, right? That's the great thing. Right now we're
Yeah.
on Zoom.
Yeah, 2020 was good for people to be doing things,
Absolutely.
all over the world now. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. And I also run in-person events as well. So I run
Oh, good.
retreats a few times a year as
Oh,
well.
nice.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, retreats, huh? Yeah, nice. I don't think I saw that you do that as well, because you have so many gifts and talents, so many skills and so much wisdom that we're not possibly going to be able to get into it all right here. But I would encourage people to check out her website, and she's got an awesome YouTube channel. So much information is there. So please, keep an open mind and listen to what she has to say and then visit, all the places, the website and the YouTube channel and, Facebook and Instagram and all of that. And we'll put those links below. But I'd like to ask you, Emma, how did you first get interested in all of this? And, I'm imagining one thing and then it led to another and led to another and led to another. So if you could
Yeah.
share a little bit about that, how you first got interested.
Wow. Well, I've always been interested in witchcraft. I've always
Mhm.
been fascinated by nature. And I
Yeah,
think there's quite a few misconceptions when it comes to working with witchcraft. I
absolutely.
don't I don't worship the devil and I don't work with kind of negative energies, but it's a real nature-based
Hmm.
practice. And from a child, really, I was so drawn to working with nature. And when I look back now, I can see how I used to
Yeah.
create like mandalas out of flowers and leaves
Oh
and
my
things,
goodness. Yeah.
without even knowing
Not
like what a
knowing what you're
mandala
doing. Yeah, it was in you already, right? Somewhere.
Yeah. So
So
that's
cool.
yeah, that's really how it started. Just a fascination with Mother Earth and really feeling really attuned and really connected to Earth in a world that felt quite disconnected. It was
Yeah.
my sanctuary and my church really.
Yeah.
Um, and then I remember buying my first crystal. It was a piece of pyrite that I bought at a museum, and I was blown away that Mother Earth had created this crystal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where my crystal obsession really started. And I actually worked as a jewelry and gemstone
Oh,
specialist.
neat.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to travel the world. I worked with a lot of cruise ship guests. I spent a lot of time in the States and in Mexico and Alaska and the Caribbean, and I ran my own kind of shopping TV channel on board cruise ships. And then I moved back to the UK and I started working in TV and as a jewelry expert and a gemstone expert in kind of like shopping TV. Um, and I studied with the Gemological Institute of America, and which is in California, where you are, right?
Ah,
And I was fascinated by the science behind crystals as well as the metaphysics. So yeah, I'd studied with the GIA and then also had qualified as a crystal practitioner as well. And yeah, that's kind of where it all started. And
yeah.
then
So it
that
all
went on
started from like the
everything.
fascination from Mother Earth and then
Yeah.
everything that you can do with that energy. and how much healing properties in everything from the earth. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
so cool. Yeah.
definitely. I think that we talk about natural medicine as being kind of like an alternative. We talk about it as being
Right.
working with herbs, for example, being alternative.
Yeah.
But actually, all of these beautiful things were placed on our planet for us to work with. They all have
Yeah.
their own energies and their own properties. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it just kind of cascaded from there, really.
Yeah, I wonder how we got away from that, Western medicine, I guess, we think of, like you said, we think of all of these holistic, practices and these natural, remedies and that as being alternative, when they're really, anything from pharmaceutical stuff is more alternative, really,
It is.
so I wonder how we got away from that. And
Yeah.
also, I wonder if do you find that in the States here? So tell people where you're from, where you are.
Oh, I live in Chester in England at the moment.
Okay. Okay. So, but you have lived in the States and everything. So do you think
I
there's
have.
a difference as far as the way people view the kinds of things that you do, shamanism and witchcraft and sex magic and all those kinds of things that might be quite a bit taboo or, have a lot of misconceptions over here. Do you find it's the same thing over there?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I think, I mean, the States is huge, right? And you have
Yeah.
so many different pockets of
Right.
different people.
Absolutely.
And where you are kind of on the West Coast, a
Hmm.
little more open-minded, and I would
Right.
say, from my experience, to
Yes.
maybe some of the travels that I've done, like in the deep South. And so, yeah,
Right.
it's really different. And where
Yeah.
I live, Colorado, like I lived 7 miles from a town of 60 people. Like we
Yeah.
were in the middle of nowhere. So
Yeah.
people thought I was really strange there, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think there's lots of misconceptions. People do think that have a kind of negative beliefs, and
Hmm.
a lot of like I'm open to everybody believing whatever they want to
Sure,
believe
sure.
and what resonates and feels aligned with them,
Hmm.
and I really respect that. I
Yeah.
find that although I'm not religious, like I do practice paganism, I
Hmm.
really relate to pagan um culture. And
Yeah.
there's been a lot of twists, certainly here in the UK when people came and saw and conquered, and they saw these pagan traditions, and then they wanted to shift those. And so we see in lots of different. I just recorded a video about Yule and
Hmm.
how we decorate a Christmas tree, and that being a pagan tradition, and how we
Yeah.
have a Yule log, right? Before that was a chocolate dessert, that
Yeah.
was an
Right.
offering to the fire and to the sun. So, yeah, I think people are more open now. I think
Yeah.
we're all a little bit, certainly since the internet. Like when I
Right.
started, it was books,
Yeah.
and now we have the internet. People are a lot more exposed to things. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And being able to talk to you from, across the world here and yeah, being able to share what you do and have us have this conversation would not be possible without the internet.
I know,
So that really has to help for sure. It has to help.
absolutely.
Um, so if you could explain for somebody who's never heard of, and whichever direction you want to go, so no, somebody that has no idea what witchcraft can, what those kinds of things can do for somebody in a healing way, or sex magic, or shamanism, or whichever way you want to go. If you could explain to people who maybe really don't know too much about how it can help with healing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've touched really on the vibrational frequencies and the properties. And I'm sure everybody can relate to that, right? If you work in any kind of healing modality, you
Hmm.
understand energy. And so,
Absolutely. Yeah.
when it comes to working with, I teach shamanic witchcraft, which
Hmm.
combines shamanic practices with traditional witchcraft. And so we layer energies. That's like the
Hmm.
easiest way I can explain. So, if you wanted to manifest, let's use wealth, money,
Okay.
because that's it.
That's what a lot of people want to manifest. Yeah.
Absolutely, right? So if you want to call in more wealth, a lot of people are familiar with the law of attraction,
Yeah.
mindset, what you do, with programming. And so you set your intention, what it is that you want to bring in. In witchcraft, we can then layer energy
Mm.
to kind of expand on that intention. So if we wanted to call in wealth, we would work with crystals that align with the vibrational frequency of
Mm.
wealth. So
Love
things like
that.
citrine, aventurine. We've then got like herbs that also call in wealth.
Mm.
So things like cinnamon and mint and
Oh.
basil, they call in a lot of wealth. And then we can look at different colors as well. So we think, green is the color of money, right? So we can work with the color green as well. So for example, and I know that people listening won't be able to see this, but I have next to me a little money jar. And so
Oh.
this was a little spell that I did that has crystals inside of the jar and herbs inside the jar, and there's a £20 note in there. And
Yeah.
I actually created an affirmation for calling in wealth, and
Mm-hmm.
I made that affirmation into a symbol by working with a process called creating a sigil. And
Mm-hmm.
then I carved that onto the candle. And I set my intention and focused. And as the candle melted
Mm-hmm.
and the wax melted over my jar, it sealed my intention into my jar. So
Nice. Yeah.
it's not, it's just layering energies on what we
Yeah.
already do, really, in my opinion, and working with the natural
Yeah.
energies of Mother Earth.
So something like that, so that little jar and that candle, is that something, would you teach people how to do that for themselves, or would you do that for them and maybe sell those things, or do it for them just in a ritual that you do for somebody else? Or how does that work?
So I really like empowering people to do their own thing. I think
Mm-hmm.
that with any practice, and especially with magic, there are so many different kind of facets to it. There are so many different types of witches,
Mm-hmm.
green witches that work with herbs, witches that work with chaos magic,
Yeah.
witches that
Yeah.
work with the kitchen. Like there's so many different facets, and we all resonate with different things and feel aligned with different things. So in my beginner shamanic witchcraft course, we cover lots of things from working with crystals to planetary energies to the days of the week to working with the lunar phases.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and so people can pick and choose what really resonates with them.
Yeah.
So I don't like to do spells for people.
Okay.
I want to empower people with the knowledge to be able to work with what feels right to them. And
Yeah.
intuition is the most important thing.
Yeah, yeah, great. So on your YouTube channel, that's part of, other than your courses and that's part of where you do a lot of teaching and empowering people to do these things on their own or to understand things better
Yeah.
of what you do.
Yeah,
So
I love that. I think
yeah,
it's a really important thing. And although people can delve deeper within the courses, I think that it's really important to me to be able to educate people
yeah,
and yeah, be able to give them some of the tools that they can then go and start to explore things further. Sometimes
yeah,
something will tweak your interest, just like my practice, and then
yeah.
hundreds of books later.
Later, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's really important.
Yeah. So do you have any books of your own? Are you an author as well?
Not yet.
Not
I'm
yet.
working
Getting
on
there?
something at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, but it won't be for a while yet. I've put
Okay.
together some workbooks and some ebooks and things like that, but no, I
Yeah.
haven't written my own book yet. It's on the
Yeah.
cards.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you've got so much going on. It's not as if you have any time, extra time. I know that. So, so speaking of that, um, is there anything else that you would want to say or share before we get going?
Sure. You touched on sex magic, and I know that if I was listening to this, I want to know what this is about.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just really briefly, just to touch on sex magic. So obviously, when we are doing any form of magic, we want to empower what we're doing with our intentions, with our energy, right?
Hmm.
So the biggest release of energy that we can have is through our orgasm.
Yeah.
And so sex magic is about working with our sexual energy as a means to be able to add power and fire to our intentions and to our magical workings. So it's not like, dancing around a fire naked. I mean, if you want to do that, like go ahead, there's no
Yeah.
judgment. But it's really about just really being able to work with and to tune and then to tune into that energy and to move that energy
Yeah.
um, towards something, putting it out into the universe. Like
Yeah.
we see like tantra in
Right.
those kinds of practices. So there's a lot of kind of sacred sexual practices, and this is based
Yeah.
around well witchcraft.
Yeah, that's a lot of energy. So and you were talking about layering energy. So that seems like it's, almost like just another layer, another added layer that you can add to anything really, any
Absolutely.
intention or yeah, working towards anything, just to use that energy, not just for gratification or whatever, but but using that energy towards something else, yeah, in your life.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. And healing as well, I
Yeah.
always say to my clients, if you're in a funk and you're feeling in a funk, like meditate or masturbate, right? Clear some
Hmm.
energy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Very powerful for sure. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because I did want to bring that I did want to bring that up because I know that's one of the things that's going to be like, what did she say? So yeah, I'm glad that you remembered to bring that up. I will also want to ask you too if you could talk a little bit more about shamanism and shamanic witchcraft, if you could talk a little bit more about that for maybe people who don't know anything about it.
Okay, so this is really interesting. So shamanism is like really the oldest spiritual practice, dates back
Mhm.
40,000 years.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and it actually, there's a lot of, again, controversy around this and beliefs around this, around indigenous
Hmm.
people and indigenous practices. So it originated, it's believed, in Siberia, and it comes from a Tungus word. And so they were the shamans would be the medicine people, the
Yeah.
healers. They would be for example, the shaman could go into a trance state, and if the villagers did not have any food, the shaman would be able to go into a trance and see where the herds of animals
Mm.
were so that they could go and hunt. So they were real key people in the community. And we find shamanism in every culture. It's not something that is
Yeah.
unique to Native Americans or
Yeah.
to Siberia or to Peru. Here in the UK, we had Celtic shamans. So
Mm.
I think what's really important is that we honor practices that are indigenous to us and that are local to us. But there are
Yeah.
lots of similarities between shamanism all over the world, which is
Hmm.
incredible that we had no connection with each other at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And yet we were all, performing similar practices and
Yeah.
similar healing. And so with shamanism, it's a very inward practice. So we travel inwards, and we can then look at our inner world, and we can travel inwards to experience healing, to receive guidance. There are three main worlds without going too deep. We have the upper realm, the middle
Hmm.
realm, and the lower realm. And we can connect with spiritual beings within those
Yeah.
realms. And for me, within shamanic witchcraft, again, it adds that other layer. So I can
Yeah.
get guidance on what it is that I'm going to be working with in my outward practice, because witchcraft's very outwards, whereas
Hmm.
shamanism is very inward practice.
So interesting. So interesting. Yeah. So what you were talking about when you first were mentioning when you first started explaining it, you were talking about, people needing to go and they would go into a meditation and be able to see and get information as far as where, the herds might be, or maybe even other natural areas to get
Yeah,
food or whatever they needed, or even medicine probably.
yeah.
So is that sort of like remote viewing? Is that what they'd be doing, or is it more of like getting information, or maybe
Yeah.
both? Yeah.
Yeah, remote viewing. So the three shamanic worlds, the upper world is like the ethereal realm. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where we can connect with spirit guides, angels, archangels. The middle world is a reflection of our physical world that we live in right now. And
Yeah.
so this is where we can travel to if for things like remote viewing, or if we want to soul retrieval, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So you may hear someone say, I don't know, that guy is always going to have a piece of my heart, or I
Mm-hmm.
left my soul in, this location.
Right, right.
Yeah, so we can, as a shamanic practitioner, we can then go and retrieve
Oh my
parts of our
gosh.
souls that have been fragmented. So yeah, with the different
Ah,
worlds are, yeah, we experience different things in the different worlds. So yeah, the shaman would have gone to the middle world and that and experienced some remote viewing there. Yeah.
amazing. So amazing. I've been really interested, and I think I had mentioned this to you when we first connected, is I've been so interested and drawn to shamanism. And I'm near 60 now, and I still haven't done much in the way of delving any deeper, but it's always been like just an interest in the back of my mind. So I'm going to have to get with you later on that. Or,
Absolutely.
but that's so interesting to me, just so amazing. And that it's so old and from everywhere. It's not just, one practice from one area or anything too. So it
Yeah.
really kind of gives, you know, I don't know what the word would be, maybe credit or whatever. It kind of shows how powerful it is that it's been, that it's all over really
Yeah.
and from long ago. So,
Absolutely.
so anything that you have, so I had lost track before I was talking about your book, your possibility of books and stuff. But is there anything that you have coming up on the horizon, or anything new that you're going to be doing soon coming up for you?
Yes, absolutely. So we open enrollment for Awakening the Witch Within, which is the beginner's shamanic witchcraft course. And
Ooh,
that opens in January. It's a 10 module program which covers. It's really deep. It's quite extensive. I'm a big over deliverer, so it's something I'm working on. I'm healing this like people pleasing over deliverer. But it's incredible and a real good foundation for
hmm
then, I have an accredited shamanic witchcraft practitioner's diploma that people can move on to afterwards. But
hmm
that's kind of the beginning. So that we launched that in January, and yeah, I've got a free cord cutting
Mm,
um, bundle as well. So it's that time
nice.
of the year where we kind of go inwards, and it's a great time to kind
Yeah,
of clear anything that's hanging
right.
around. So yeah, I can
Absolutely.
share the link for that as well. Anybody can download that and have access to that for free. And there's
Yeah,
a meditation and a ritual and a workbook there too.
nice. So is that all found on your website?
It is, yep,
Or it
absolutely.
will be? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So go ahead and tell people where they can reach you and how they can reach you. Of course, like we both mentioned, we'll have all the links in the description below, but go ahead and tell people what all those links are, where they can find you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Pamela. So you can find me on Facebook as Emma Louise Dyson. I use my personal profile then. On TikTok, I am at The Wild and Untamed Way, and I'm also The Wild and Untamed Way on YouTube as well as Instagram. And yeah, you can also find, I've got a free Facebook group as well. It's called The Wild and Untamed Ones, and anybody's welcome to come and join. And there's content shared daily there as well. So feel free to come
Nice.
over and join us.
Nice. Thank you so much. Okay, so I hope that all the listeners and anybody watching, hope you've learned something today. I hope that you've watched till the end, and I hope that you will click on all the links below. And yeah, so thanks again, Emma, for coming on and sharing so much of what you have to offer with our audience today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute honor. I love your energy
Oh,
and keep
thank you.
sharing all of the magic.
Thank you. Thank you.